Let's talk about a choice we all face, pretty much every day. Do we try to fit in, or do we find the courage to stand out? Today, we're diving into what it really takes to choose that second path.
This question looks simple on the surface, but it gets right to the heart of a huge life decision. Going with the flow, fitting in, that's kind of the default setting for most of us. But what if that's the very thing holding us back from who we're truly meant to be?
It all starts so early, doesn't it? When we're just kids, we get this one simple instruction: be good. This is like step one on the road to fitting in, learning the rules so we can get along in the world. And then, that message gets a little more complicated. It's not just about being good anymore. Suddenly, it's about being liked. We start to learn that social acceptance is the goal, so we smooth out our own edges to fit into whatever box the group has ready for us. And finally, we learn the big one: stay safe. Stick to the well-trodden path, don't cause any trouble, avoid any real risk. So be good, be liked, stay safe. It's like the perfect recipe for a careful life. But this kind of caution, it has a cost, a hidden one. And that leads us right into the hidden trap of fitting in. Because while it feels all warm and safe, conforming has this quiet price that honestly most of us don't even realize we're paying. Look, this isn't something that happens overnight. It's more like a slow, gradual shrinking. And we don't shrink because we're weak or anything like that. We shrink because we are just so careful. So careful not to be judged, so careful not to fail, and especially careful not to stand out all alone. So right here, you can see the real tug-of-war. On one side, you've got fitting in. It feels warm, accepted, easy. But on the other side, you have growth. And growth asks a lot more of you. It asks you to speak up when it would be way safer to stay quiet, and to choose yourself even when everyone else expects you to just fall in line. And doesn't this explain something so many of us feel? You see it all the time with successful people. They've done everything right. They've built this comfortable life by being masters of fitting in. And yet, there's this quiet feeling inside that something's missing. That's because they're realizing that real meaning, it isn't found in fitting in. It's found in standing out.
Okay, so how in the world do you break out of this cycle? Well, the answer isn't some huge, dramatic, life-altering change. It all starts with a small but really profound internal shift. It's a shift toward alignment.
Believe it or not, the fix is actually just a simple flip in your thinking. You stop asking the question, will they like this, which is all about getting approval from the outside. Instead, you start asking, does this feel right to me? And just like that, you shift the power from the outside world to your own internal compass. Now, it's so important to get this right. This is not about being a rebel just for the sake of it. This is about alignment. It's about finding your path. When you finally choose yourself, you don't actually lose people. You just start finding the right people and the right path for you.
To really get what this looks like, let me tell you a story. It's the story of a guy named Ravi, and it makes this whole idea really clear.
So for 15 years, can you imagine? Ravi played it safe. He had the stable job, everyone respected him, but on the inside, he felt restless, kind of invisible. Then one day, he asked himself that game-changing question: if I just keep fitting in like this, what am I going to become? And that changed absolutely everything. He started small, just an hour a day, working on his passion for sustainability. And today, that tiny step has blossomed into a meaningful eco-business. But here's the most amazing part of his story. Ravi didn't become some brand new person. He just became more of who he was all along. See, standing out isn't about inventing a new personality. It's about finally revealing the true one you've been so carefully hiding. In this whole journey, it leads to something really powerful. When you stop obsessing over fitting in and you start creating from a place that feels true to you, you start to generate a totally different kind of value, a different kind of wealth. We're talking about something called green wealth. And no, this has nothing to do with stocks or your bank account. It's the real, tangible value that you create with your small, conscious choices. It's the positive ripple effect you have when you decide to stand out with a purpose. So how do you build it? Well, it comes down to these really simple but powerful choices. It's about choosing to reuse instead of just wasting. It's about creating something original instead of just copying what's already out there. And it's about leading from what you believe in instead of just following the crowd. Okay, so that brings this whole thing right back to you. How do you actually make this happen in your own life? Let's talk about taking your first true step. And I want you to actually take a second and think about this.
Not as some big philosophical question, but as a real, practical, do-it-today kind of action. What is one small, tiny way you can stand out just a little bit today?
And listen, this doesn't have to be some huge dramatic gesture. Maybe it's just finally sharing that idea you've been holding on to in a meeting. Or maybe it's saying no to something that just doesn't feel right for you. Or hey, maybe it's just starting something small, just for you, exactly like Robbie did.
And please remember this, the pressure to make some giant, life-changing leap, it's a myth. That's not how real change usually happens. All you need is one true step. One single, small action that feels authentic and right to you. So I want to leave you with this one last thought. A world where everyone fits in perfectly is a world that's stuck. The world that we actually need, the world that grows and evolves, is the one built by people who have the courage to stand out, meaningfully. Because that's where the growth is. That's where your purpose begins. And that is where your real story starts. So, go start it.